There are moments in life that seem ordinary on the surface, just another scroll, another video, another passing second in a busy day. But then there are moments like this, moments that interrupt your routine so sharply, so intentionally, that your spirit pauses even before your mind understands why. This is one of those moments, and you need to hear this carefully, because what you are experiencing right now is not random. It is not accidental, and it is not something you were meant to ignore. You didn't just click on this. You didn't just stumble across this message. Something in you was pulled here. Something deeper than logic, deeper than curiosity, something spiritual. Because when heaven has something urgent to deliver, it does not wait for perfect timing, it creates divine interruption. And right now, your attention has been interrupted for a reason. Archangel Michael does not speak without purpose. His voice does not echo unless something has already been set into motion. And what he is revealing in this very moment is this: a shift has already begun around you. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Right now. There is movement in the unseen realm that is directly connected to your life, your name, your path. And within the next 3 hours, something is going to break through into your reality. Pause for a second, because your spirit already feels something different, doesn't it? There's a slight tension, a curiosity, a pull that won't let you look away. That's not coincidence. That's confirmation. That's the inner knowing that something important is unfolding, even if you can't yet explain it with words. And here's where it gets serious. Most people will miss this moment, not because they weren't chosen, but because they weren't paying attention. They will scroll past. They will ignore the nudge. They will treat this like noise. And when the shift happens, when the good news arrives, when the door opens, when the opportunity presents itself, they will not be ready. They will hesitate. They will doubt. They will second guess. And by the time they realize what it was, it will already be gone. But you are still here. You didn't skip. You didn't move on. You stayed. And that alone tells you something powerful about who you are in this moment. You are aligned enough to recognize when something carries weight. You are sensitive enough to feel when something is different. And that sensitivity, that awareness, is exactly why this message reached you. Because what's coming is not just good news in a casual sense. This is not a random positive moment. This is something that has been building behind the scenes for longer than you realize. Conversations, decisions, alignments, unseen movements, all converging toward a single point in time. And that point is approaching fast. 3 hours. Not 3 days. Not 3 weeks. 3 hours. Do you understand how precise that is? How intentional that timing is? Heaven is not vague when it's urgent. Heaven is exact. Which means whatever is coming has already been prepared. It's not being created later. It's being released now. And here's the part that most people won't tell you. Blessings don't just require faith, they require readiness. Because sometimes the very thing you've been praying for shows up in a form you didn't expect. And if your mind is distracted, if your spirit is asleep, if your attention is somewhere else, you can miss it without even realizing. That's why this message had to interrupt you. That's why you feel this pull to keep listening. That's why something inside you is saying, don't skip this. Because in the next 3 hours, something will happen that will test your awareness. It will test your ability to recognize what is meant for you. It will test whether you are truly ready to receive what you've been asking for. And Archangel Michael is making one thing clear. You are not being warned to scare you, you are being prepared to position you. So stay here. Stay focused. Stay aware. Because this is only the beginning of what you're about to understand. Type "I am ready" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 303 is now activated around you. Now listen closely, because what Archangel Michael is revealing in this moment carries a level of urgency that most people are not prepared to handle. The next 3 hours are not ordinary time. They are not casual, replaceable, or something you can postpone and return to later. This is a divine window, a precise opening in time that has been aligned specifically for you. And once this window passes, it does not linger, it does not repeat itself in the same way, and it does not wait for hesitation. You have to understand something deeper here. When heaven moves, it does not always move slowly. Sometimes, it moves with sudden acceleration, with divine precision that feels almost overwhelming to the unprepared mind. And that is exactly what is happening now. Something has been building quietly behind the scenes. Delays, alignments, conversations, decisions that you were never meant to see. All of it converging into a single moment that is now only hours away from fully revealing itself. 3 hours may sound like a small amount of time, but in the spiritual realm, it is more than enough for everything to change. It is enough for a door to open that has been closed for years. It is enough for a message to arrive that shifts your direction completely. It is enough for an opportunity to appear that answers prayers you almost gave up on. But here is the truth that most people miss. These moments do not announce themselves loudly. They arrive quietly, disguised as something ordinary, testing whether you are awake enough to recognize them. And this is where the urgency becomes real. Because while something powerful is being prepared for you, something else is also happening at the same time. Distraction is increasing. Your attention is being pulled in different directions. Your mind may feel restless, your focus scattered, your environment noisy. That is not random. That is resistance. Because anything that carries this level of significance will always be accompanied by forces that try to divert your awareness away from it. Archangel Michael is making it clear. You cannot afford to drift in these next 3 hours. You cannot afford to treat this time casually. This is not the moment to be passive, distracted, or emotionally disconnected. This is the moment to be alert, grounded, and spiritually attentive to what is unfolding around you. Think about it. How many times in your life have you missed something important, not because it wasn't meant for you, but because you weren't ready when it arrived? How many opportunities slipped through your hands simply because you didn't recognize them in the moment? That is the pattern being broken right now. That is why this message came before the event, not after. Because heaven is giving you something rare, preparation before manifestation. And preparation changes everything. Because when you are prepared, you don't hesitate. When you are prepared, you don't doubt. When you are prepared, you don't second guess what you're seeing or hearing. You move with clarity. You respond with confidence. You step into what is being offered without shrinking back into fear or confusion. But without preparation, even a blessing can feel overwhelming. Even good news can feel confusing. Even the right opportunity can be missed because your mind is still trying to catch up with what your spirit should have already recognized. That is why the next 3 hours matter so much. This is a countdown, not of fear but of alignment. Every minute that passes is bringing you closer to something that has already been released with your name attached to it. It is not being decided later. It is already in motion. The question is not whether it will arrive. The question is whether you will be ready when it does. And here is what Archangel Michael wants you to understand with absolute clarity. Readiness is not about doing something complicated. It is about being present. It is about being aware. It is about refusing to let your attention drift into places that disconnect you from what is happening in your own life. Because the moment you become distracted, you become delayed. The moment you lose focus, you risk missing the subtle signs that guide you toward what is meant for you. And at a window this small, in a time frame this precise, even a small delay can cost you the full experience of what was prepared. But you are not being left unprepared. You are hearing this now because you are being positioned ahead of time. You are being called into awareness before the moment arrives. You are being given clarity before the situation unfolds. And that alone sets you apart from the majority who will walk into the same window unaware of its significance. So stay alert. Stay present. Stay grounded in this moment. Because the next 3 hours are not just time passing, they are a divine opportunity approaching. Type "I will not miss my moment" in the comments if you are ready. Blessing code 707 is now activated around your timing and alignment. There is something you must understand right now, and it will change the way you perceive everything that is about to happen in your life. The good news you have been waiting for is not something that will be created in the next 3 hours. It is not something that still needs to be decided, approved, or prepared. The Archangel Michael is making this clear with authority. It has already been released. The decision has already been made. The movement has already begun. What you are stepping into is not the creation of a blessing. It is the arrival of something that already carries your name. This is where most people get it wrong. They spend their time waiting, wondering, hoping that something will eventually happen for them. They live in a mindset of delay, as if their breakthrough is always somewhere in the future. But heaven does not operate like that in moments like this. When a decree is spoken, it is not a possibility, it is a release. And right now, the release has already taken place in the unseen realm. That means what you are about to experience is simply the manifestation of something that has already been set into motion. Think about that for a moment. Somewhere, something has already shifted in your favor. A conversation has already happened. A decision has already been influenced. A door has already been unlocked. Even if you cannot see it yet, even if there is no visible sign in your current environment, it is already real. And this is why Archangel Michael's voice carries such certainty. He is not predicting. He is not guessing. He is declaring what has already been authorized. And when something is authorized at that level, nothing can reverse it, nothing can cancel it, and nothing can take it away from you. The only thing that can happen is that you fail to recognize it when it appears. That is the real danger. Because when something arrives suddenly, without warning, without preparation, it can feel almost unreal. It can feel too good, too unexpected, too different from what you are used to. And in that moment, your mind may hesitate. Your thoughts may question. You may wonder if it is truly meant for you. And that hesitation, that doubt, that moment of uncertainty can cause you to miss what was already given. That is why this message is not just a revelation, it is a preparation. You are being told ahead of time so that when the good news arrives, you do not question it. You do not shrink away from it. You do not delay your response. You recognize it immediately, and you step into it with clarity and confidence. Because here is the truth. Blessings do not always come in the form you expect. Sometimes they arrive disguised as an opportunity that feels slightly uncomfortable. Sometimes they appear as a sudden message, a call, a shift in someone's behavior, or an unexpected opening that requires you to act quickly. And if you are not ready, if you are still thinking in the old mindset of delay and doubt, you may overlook it entirely. But you are not the same person anymore. You are being elevated into awareness. You are being positioned to see what others cannot see. You are being prepared to recognize what others will dismiss. And that is exactly why this message has found you now, before the moment arrives, before the manifestation becomes visible. Because Archangel Michael knows something that you are only beginning to realize. Your life is entering a point of acceleration. Things that once took time will begin to happen faster. Answers that once felt distant will arrive suddenly. And in that kind of environment, hesitation becomes costly. You cannot afford to hesitate when something meant for you appears. You cannot afford to question what has already been confirmed. You cannot afford to delay your response when the timing is this precise. And this is why the decree matters so much. Because once something has been released from the spiritual realm, it moves with purpose. It moves with direction. It moves toward you. And when it reaches you, it expects a response. Not confusion. Not doubt. Not fear. But recognition. So prepare your mind now. Prepare your spirit now. Prepare your awareness now. Because in the next 3 hours, something will appear in your reality that reflects this release. And when it does, you will feel it. There will be a knowing inside you, a quiet certainty that this is what you were being prepared for. Do not ignore that feeling. Do not dismiss it. Do not overthink it. That is your confirmation. That is your moment. And that is what Archangel Michael has already declared over your life. Type "I receive my good news" in the comments if you accept this decree. Blessing code 909 is now activated over your manifestation. As this truth settles into your spirit, understand this. Every time this message reaches another soul, another life is positioned to receive what heaven has already released. This is not about supporting a channel. This is about becoming a vessel through which light travels further than you can see. The word says, "Cast your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days." And right now, your seed has the power to become someone else's answered prayer. I feel led to say this directly. I am stepping into this moment not just as a listener, but as a messenger through my giving. When you release your support through Super Thanks with a PayPal link in the description, you are opening a flow, a river that carries truth, clarity, and divine timing into lives that are still searching. Do not delay this act, because obedience in moments like this carries a harvest attached to it. As you give, heaven marks it, multiplies it, and returns it in ways you cannot predict. Step forward now and activate what has been placed in your hands. There is a truth that must be spoken clearly in this moment, because it explains why so many people will stand in the presence of a blessing and still walk away empty-handed. It is not because the blessing was not meant for them. It is not because heaven forgot them. It is not because they were unworthy. It is because they were unprepared. And preparation, in moments like this, is not about effort. It is about awareness. You must understand, what is coming to you in the next 3 hours will not arrive with loud announcements or obvious signs that force you to notice it. It will come in a way that requires discernment. It will come in a way that tests your sensitivity to what is happening around you. And this is exactly why many will miss it, because they are not paying attention to the subtle movements in their own lives. Most people are trained to look for something dramatic, something undeniable, something that removes all doubt. But divine movement rarely operates that way. It often comes quietly, almost gently, as if it is asking a question rather than making a demand. It presents itself in a way that requires you to lean in, to listen closely, to trust what you feel rather than what you expect. And this is where preparation becomes everything. Because if your mind is cluttered with distraction, if your emotions are scattered, if your attention is divided between too many things, you will not recognize what is right in front of you. You will overlook it. You will delay your response. You will question it until the moment passes. And by the time clarity arrives, the opportunity will have already moved on. That is why Archangel Michael is not just announcing the good news. He is preparing your inner state to receive it. You are being called into stillness, not physically but internally. You are being asked to quiet the noise that surrounds you, to become aware of your environment, to notice the small shifts that others ignore. Because what is meant for you will not compete with chaos. It will not fight for your attention. It will simply appear, and it will require you to recognize it. Think about how many times in your life something important came and went without you realizing its significance until later. A missed message, a delayed response, a moment where your intuition spoke, but you ignored it. That is the pattern being broken right now. That is why you are being positioned ahead of time. Because once you are aware, everything changes. When you are aware, you notice the difference in someone's tone. You recognize when a conversation carries more meaning than usual. You sense when something feels aligned, even if it doesn't make complete sense yet. You trust the subtle pull instead of waiting for overwhelming certainty. And that is exactly the level of awareness you are being elevated into. But here is the challenge. Awareness requires presence. It requires you to be fully engaged in your current moment, not lost in past regrets or future worries. It requires you to pay attention to what is happening now, not what happened before or what might happen later. Because what is coming is not tied to your past. It is not connected to your old patterns, your old doubts, your old expectations. It is something new. And if you try to interpret it through your old mindset, you will misunderstand it. That is why you must release the need for things to look familiar. You must release the expectation that it will come in a predictable way. You must release the habit of overthinking what is presented to you. Because the moment you overanalyze, you create delay. The moment you hesitate, you create distance. And in a window as small as 3 hours, even a small delay can cause you to miss the fullness of what was meant for you. Archangel Michael is not asking you to strive harder. He is asking you to see clear. He is asking you to trust your inner knowing when the moment arrives. He is asking you to respond with confidence when something aligns. And most importantly, he is asking you to remain open. Open to receiving something different from what you expected. Open to recognizing something that others may overlook. Open to stepping into something that feels slightly unfamiliar but deeply right. Because preparation is not about control. It is about readiness. And readiness is not loud. It is quiet, steady, aware. Right now, you are being aligned into that state. Right now, you are being shifted out of distraction and into clarity. Right now, you are being prepared to receive something that has already been released. So guard your attention in these next moments. Protect your focus. Stay present in your environment. Because what is meant for you is not hidden. It is simply waiting for you to see it. And when you do, everything will make sense. Type "I am aware" and ready in the comments if you are aligned with this preparation. Blessing code 515 is now activated over your awareness and discernment. There is a movement taking place right now that you cannot see with your physical eyes, but you can feel it if you slow down long enough to pay attention. Something is shifting beneath the surface of your life, quietly, precisely, without noise or announcement. And the reason it feels so subtle is because it is happening behind the scenes, in places you were never meant to control, in areas you were never meant to fully understand. Yet even without seeing it, you are standing directly in the middle of it. Archangel Michael is revealing something critical in this moment. What is about to reach you has already been set into motion by forces beyond your immediate awareness. This is not something you initiated today. This is not something that began when you started listening. This has been building, aligning, rearranging itself long before you became conscious of it. There have been silent adjustments happening in your favor, shifts in timing, shifts in decisions, shifts in circumstances that are now converging toward a single point. And that point is now. You must understand, when heaven begins to move on your behalf, it does not always look dramatic at first. It often begins with quiet rearrangements. People change their minds without knowing why. Situations begin to unfold differently than expected. Paths that seemed closed begin to loosen. Conversations that were delayed suddenly accelerate. These are not coincidences. These are indicators of movement, evidence that something is being aligned specifically for you. But because it is happening behind the scenes, most people do not recognize it while it is taking place. They only understand it after everything has already unfolded. They look back and say, that's when things started to change, but in the moment, they were unaware. And that is exactly what makes this moment different for you. You are being made aware while it is happening. You are being shown that there is a shift taking place now, not later. You are being invited to witness what most people only realize after the fact. And that awareness gives you an advantage that cannot be replaced. Because when you know something is shifting, you move differently. You become more attentive. You become more intentional. You stop reacting to surface-level distractions and begin focusing on what actually matters. You stop questioning every small change and start recognizing patterns forming around you. And right now, patterns are forming. Something is being positioned in your environment that will soon become visible. It may not look extraordinary at first glance. It may appear as a simple interaction, a normal conversation, an everyday situation. But beneath that surface, something significant will be attached to it. And if you are not aware, if you are not paying attention, you may treat it like something ordinary when it is anything but. That is why Archangel Michael is drawing your focus to this hidden shift. Because what is happening behind the scenes is preparing something in front of the scenes. What is being arranged in silence is about to speak in reality. What is being aligned in the unseen is about to appear in the scene. And when it does, it will happen quickly. This is the nature of divine timing. Long periods of quiet preparation followed by sudden moments of visible change. It may feel like nothing has been happening for a long time, but that is only because the work was being done where you could not observe it. And now, that work is reaching completion. You are stepping into the moment where preparation meets manifestation. But here is what you must guard against: doubt. Because when something appears suddenly, your mind may try to question it. It may try to analyze how it happened so quickly. It may try to connect it to your past experiences and find reasons to hesitate. And that hesitation can disconnect you from the flow of what is unfolding. You must not let that happen. You must trust that what is arriving has been prepared. You must trust that what is appearing has already been aligned. You must trust that what is unfolding is not random, but intentional. Because the shift you are in right now is not accidental. It is precise. It is targeted. It is connected directly to your path. And it is moving toward you with purpose. So stay aware of your surroundings in these next moments. Notice the changes, even the small ones. Pay attention to anything that feels slightly different, slightly unexpected, slightly out of the ordinary. Because those are often the first signs that the hidden shift is becoming visible. You are not waiting for something to begin. You are standing in the middle of something that has already begun. And very soon, you will see it. Type "I see the shift" in the comments if you are aware of what is happening. Blessing code 818 is now activated over your perception and clarity. There is a reason this message has been delivered with such intensity, such urgency, and such precision, and it is not simply to inform you. It is to test you, not in a way that punishes you, but in a way that reveals where your attention truly lies. Because in moments like this, attention becomes everything. What you focus on determines what you recognize, and what you recognize determines what you receive. Archangel Michael is making something unmistakably clear right now. The next 3 hours are not just about what is coming to you. They are about how you respond when it arrives. This is where many people fail, not because they are incapable, but because they are distracted. Their attention is scattered across too many things. Their focus is diluted. Their awareness is weakened by noise, by routine, by habits that keep them from noticing what truly matters. And that is why this moment carries consequences. Not consequences of punishment, but consequences of missed alignment. Because when something meant for you arrives and you are not present, not aware, not attentive, it does not force itself into your life. It passes quietly. It moves on. And the realization comes later, often accompanied by a sense of regret, a feeling that something important was lost without fully understanding how or why. That is the moment Archangel Michael is warning you about. A moment where you say, "I should have paid attention." A moment where you realize, "That was it and I missed it." And that realization can be heavy, not because the opportunity was taken from you, but because it was given and not recognized. This is why skipping this moment matters. Because skipping is not just a physical action. It is a mindset. It is the habit of dismissing what feels subtle, what feels quiet, what does not immediately demand your attention. It is the tendency to assume that what matters will always be obvious, always be loud, always be impossible to miss. But that is not how divine timing works. Divine timing tests your awareness. It tests whether you can recognize significance without being forced to see it. It tests whether you can remain present when everything around you is trying to pull you away. And right now, you are in that test. You are being asked to hold your attention steady, to resist the urge to drift, to stay connected to what is happening in your environment. Because the moment you disengage, even slightly, you create a gap between you and what is unfolding. And in a window this precise, even a small gap can make a difference. Think about how quickly attention can shift. A single distraction, a moment of lost focus, a brief hesitation. That is all it takes. And in everyday life, that may not seem significant. But in a moment like this, where timing is exact and movement is fast, it becomes critical. This is why Archangel Michael is not just speaking about what is coming. He is speaking about your state of mind while it arrives. Because your state determines your response. If you are distracted, you delay. If you are uncertain, you hesitate. If you are disconnected, you overlook. But if you are present, aware, and grounded, you recognize immediately. You respond without confusion. You move without resistance. And that is the difference between receiving and missing. This is not about fear. This is about responsibility. You have been given awareness ahead of time. You have been positioned before the moment arrives. You have been prepared for what is about to unfold. And with that preparation comes the responsibility to remain attentive. Because once the moment passes, it does not return in the same form. That is the nature of timing. Opportunities can come again, but the exact alignment of this moment, the exact convergence of circumstances, the exact timing of what is being released now, is unique. It is specific to this point in time, to this window, to this alignment, and that is why it cannot be treated casually. So guard your attention. Be mindful of where your focus goes in these next moments. Notice when your mind tries to drift and bring it back. Stay connected to your surroundings, to your intuition, to the subtle signals that begin to appear. Because this is not just about receiving good news. This is about proving that you are ready for it. This is about showing that you can recognize what has been prepared for you. This is about demonstrating that when the moment arrives, you will not miss it. And you will not miss it because you are here, because you are aware, because you are listening. Type "I will stay focused" in the comments if you are committed to this moment. Blessing code 606 is now activated over your attention and awareness. There is something deeper that must happen within you before what is already released can fully reach you, and it has nothing to do with external effort. It has everything to do with alignment. Because while the blessing has already been set into motion, your ability to receive it depends on the state of your spirit in this very moment. And Archangel Michael is making this clear. Alignment is not automatic. It is a choice. It is a conscious positioning of your thoughts, your emotions, and your awareness into harmony with what is already unfolding for you. Right now, you are being invited into that alignment. This is not about doing more. This is not about striving harder. This is about becoming still enough internally to recognize what is already moving toward you. Because when your spirit is aligned, you do not chase what is meant for you. You recognize it. You step into it. You receive it without resistance. But when your spirit is out of alignment, even the right opportunity can feel confusing, overwhelming, or uncertain. That is why this moment matters so much. You are not being asked to create the blessing. You are being asked to position yourself to receive it. And positioning begins with your inner state. You must release tension. You must let go of the urgency that comes from fear and replace it with the awareness that comes from trust. Because fear creates noise, and noise disrupts alignment. When your mind is filled with worry, doubt, or overthinking, it becomes difficult to recognize clarity when it appears. It becomes difficult to feel the difference between what is meant for you and what is not. But when your spirit is calm, when your mind is clear, when your attention is steady, everything becomes sharper. You begin to notice what others overlook. You begin to feel what others ignore. You begin to move with a sense of certainty that does not require external validation. That is alignment. And that is exactly where you are being guided right now. Archangel Michael is not asking you to rush into this moment with anxiety. He is asking you to step into it with awareness. Because alignment is not frantic. It is focused. It is steady. It is intentional. It allows you to remain grounded even as something significant begins to unfold around you. Think about it this way. If something valuable is placed in front of you, but your attention is elsewhere, you will not recognize its value. If your mind is distracted, you will not respond correctly. If your emotions are unstable, you may hesitate or react in a way that disconnects you from the opportunity. But when you are aligned, everything flows naturally. You see clearly. You respond quickly. You move confidently. And you do not question what feels right. That is the state you are being brought into now. But alignment also requires release. You must release the need to control how the blessing arrives. You must release the expectation that it will look a certain way. You must release the habit of analyzing every detail before allowing yourself to receive. Because control creates resistance, and resistance slows down what is already in motion. Archangel Michael is guiding you into a place where you can receive without resistance, where you can recognize without hesitation, where you can move without doubt. And this is not something that happens by accident. It happens when you decide to trust what is unfolding. It happens when you choose to remain present instead of drifting into distraction. It happens when you allow your awareness to stay connected to the moment instead of being pulled into unnecessary thoughts. Right now, you are standing at the point where alignment meets manifestation. What has been prepared is already on its way. What has been released is already moving toward you. And your role is to remain in a state where you can receive it fully. So take a moment and center yourself. Bring your attention back to the present. Let go of anything that is pulling your focus away. Because in the next moments, something will begin to appear that reflects this alignment. And when it does, you will feel it immediately. There will be a sense of clarity, a sense of knowing, a quiet confidence that this is what you were being prepared for. Do not ignore that feeling. Do not question it. That is your alignment confirming what has already been released. And when that confirmation comes, move with it. Because alignment is not just about recognizing. It is about responding. It is about stepping into what is already yours. Type "I am aligned" in the comments if you are positioned to receive. Blessing code 717 is now activated over your alignment and flow. There is a question that has lived quietly in the back of your mind for a long time, even if you never fully spoke it out loud. Why did it take so long? Why did things feel delayed when you knew something greater was meant for you? Why did doors seem close to opening, only to remain just out of reach? That question is being answered right now, and the answer will shift the way you see everything that has happened up to this moment. The delay was never denial. It was alignment. Archangel Michael is revealing that what you experienced as waiting was actually preparation taking place at a level you could not see. Because what is coming to you now required a precise alignment of timing, circumstances, and readiness that could not be rushed. If it had arrived earlier, you would not have been positioned correctly to receive it. If it had come sooner, you may have overlooked it, mishandled it, or even rejected it without realizing its value. That is why it was held. Not to frustrate you, not to test your patience endlessly, but to ensure that when it finally reached you, it would meet you at the exact moment where you could fully recognize it, fully accept it, and fully step into it without hesitation. And that moment is now. What felt like delay was actually protection. What felt like waiting was actually preparation. What felt like silence was actually movement happening beyond your awareness. Because while you were focused on what you could see, there were adjustments being made in areas you could not access. Situations were being rearranged. People were being positioned. Timing was being corrected. Paths were being cleared. All of it happening quietly, without announcement, without visible confirmation, until everything reached the point where it could finally come together. And now it has. This is why the shift feels sudden. This is why the timing feels precise. This is why the next 3 hours carry such significance. Because you are not stepping into something new that just began. You are stepping into something that has been building for longer than you realize. Something that has now reached completion in its preparation phase and is ready to manifest. And when delay breaks, it does not break slowly. It breaks all at once. It releases everything that was held back. It moves forward with momentum that can feel overwhelming if you are not ready. That is why you were brought here before it happens. Because once the delay is broken, things begin to move faster. Opportunities appear quickly. Decisions need to be made without hesitation. Moments unfold in a way that requires immediate awareness. And if you are still thinking in the mindset of waiting, you may not keep up with what is happening. That is why your mindset must shift now. You are no longer waiting. You are receiving. You are no longer hoping. You are recognizing. You are no longer preparing for something in the future. You are stepping into something that is arriving in the present. And this shift in mindset changes everything. Because when you move from waiting to receiving, your attention sharpens. You become more aware of what is happening around you. You stop overlooking small moments and start recognizing their significance. You stop delaying your response and start acting with clarity. And that is exactly what is required now. The breaking of delay means the removal of everything that was slowing your progress. It means the clearing of what was blocking your path. It means the release of what was already prepared but held back until this exact moment. And once it is released, it does not return to a state of delay. It continues forward. That is why this moment is so critical. Because you are not just receiving good news. You are stepping into momentum. You are entering a flow where things begin to happen faster than before. Where answers come quicker. Where movement becomes visible. Where what once felt distant suddenly feels close. And that kind of shift requires readiness. It requires awareness. It requires you to move with what is unfolding instead of trying to slow it down or question it. Because the moment you question too much, you create hesitation. And hesitation can slow your connection to what is already moving toward you. So release the idea that you are still in a place of delay. Accept that the waiting period has ended. Recognize that what is coming now is not random, but the result of everything that has been aligned behind the scenes. And when it arrives, receive it without resistance. Because this is the moment where delay breaks and movement begins. Type "My delay is over" in the comments if you are stepping into this shift. Blessing code 888 is now activated over your timing and acceleration. As this delay breaks and movement begins, understand this truth. Every seed you release in this moment becomes part of someone else's breakthrough. This mission is not about a voice. It is about a harvest of souls awakening in divine timing. The word declares, "Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy," and right now, your giving becomes a living seed planted into fertile ground. I feel led to say this clearly. I am choosing to act in alignment, not just receive, but release. When you support through Super Thanks or the PayPal link in the description or QR code on your screen, you are opening a river that carries light into places still covered in darkness. This is not a casual action. It is a prophetic response to what God is doing through you. As you give, heaven records it, multiplies it, and sends it back as overflow in your life. Step into this moment now and activate your seed. There is a moment approaching you now that will not feel like a grand announcement, yet it will carry a weight that your spirit will instantly recognize. This is what Archangel Michael calls the divine encounter. It is the point where everything that has been prepared, everything that has been aligned, everything that has been released begins to take form in your reality. And the reason it is called an encounter is because it will meet you where you are, not where you expected it to be. You must understand this clearly. What is coming to you in the next 3 hours will not arrive in a way that forces you to recognize it. It will arrive in a way that invites you to recognize it. That is the difference. Because when something forces recognition, there is no need for awareness. But when something invites recognition, your awareness becomes the key. This is why everything up to this point have been about preparing your perception. Because the good news will not come labeled. It will not introduce itself as "this is the moment you were waiting for." It will appear naturally, almost casually, woven into something that seems ordinary at first glance. It may come through a conversation that feels slightly different. It may come through a message that arrives at the right time. It may come through an opportunity that suddenly becomes available. It may even come through a shift in someone's behavior that opens a door you did not expect. And in that moment, your spirit will react before your mind does. There will be a pause inside you, a recognition that something about this is not ordinary, a quiet knowing that this is connected to what you were just being prepared for. That is the encounter. And when it happens, you must trust it, because your first instinct will be correct. But here is where many people lose it. They feel the moment, but then they step back. They begin to analyze. They begin to question. They begin to ask, is this really it? And in doing so, they disconnect from the flow of what is unfolding. You must not do that, because the divine encounter does not wait for extended analysis. It responds to alignment. It responds to readiness. It responds to those who are able to recognize and move without hesitation. That is why Archangel Michael has been preparing you in advance, so that when this moment arrives, you do not freeze. You do not doubt. You do not delay. You respond. And response does not always mean action in the physical sense. Sometimes it means acknowledging what is being presented. Sometimes it means staying present in the moment instead of pulling away. Sometimes it means allowing yourself to receive without overcomplicating what is happening, because the simplicity of the moment is part of its design. If it were too obvious, it would not require awareness. If it were too dramatic, it would not test your readiness. But because it comes in a way that feels natural, it reveals who is truly paying attention. And you are. That is why you are here. That is why you are still listening. That is why this message reached you before the moment arrives. Because you are being positioned to recognize something that others will overlook. And when you recognize it, everything begins to connect. The delay you experienced will make sense. The preparation you went through will make sense. The timing of this message will make sense. Because you will see that nothing was random. Nothing was accidental. Everything was leading to this encounter. And once it happens, it will not feel confusing. It will feel clear. It will feel aligned. It will feel like something has finally clicked into place. That is how you will know. Not through external confirmation, but through internal clarity. A sense that this is right. A sense that this is what you were being prepared for. A sense that this is the moment where everything begins to shift. And when you feel that, move with it. Stay connected to it. Do not pull away from it. Because this is not just a moment of good news. This is the beginning of movement in your life that will continue beyond these 3 hours. This is the point where what was hidden becomes visible, where what was prepared becomes prisoned, where what was released becomes received, and you will be ready. Type "I recognize my moment" in the comments if you are prepared for this encounter. Blessing code 929 is now activated over your recognition and response. As the moment draws closer, as the alignment strengthens, and as the release begins to approach your reality, there is something you must be made aware of with complete clarity. Whenever something significant is about to manifest, distraction intensifies. Not randomly, not accidentally, but strategically. Because if the moment cannot be stopped, then the next attempt is to make you unaware of it when it arrives. This is the warning Archangel Michael is giving you now. In these next 3 hours, you may notice something unusual. Your attention may begin to feel pulled in different directions. Small interruptions may appear. Your focus may be challenged in ways that feel almost insignificant on the surface, yet persistent enough to draw you away from the present moment. It could be a sudden urge to check something unnecessary. It could be an unexpected conversation that tries to occupy your mind. It could be a thought pattern that pulls you into overthinking, doubt, or emotional distraction. These are not coincidences. They are attempts to disconnect you from your awareness. Because the moment you become distracted, you stop observing. The moment you stop observing, you stop recognizing. And the moment you stop recognizing, you risk missing what is already moving toward you. That is how subtle distraction works. It does not need to be dramatic. It does not need to be overwhelming. It only needs to shift your attention just enough for you to overlook something important. And in a moment like this, that is all it takes. That is why Archangel Michael is calling you into vigilance. Not fear, but awareness. Not tension, but presence. Because when you are aware of distraction, it loses its power. When you recognize it as it appears, you can choose not to engage with it. You can bring your attention back. You can remain grounded in what is happening around you. And that choice is what keeps you aligned with the moment. But here is what you must also understand. Distraction does not always appear as something negative. Sometimes it comes disguised as something harmless, something routine, something that feels normal enough to justify your attention. That is what makes it effective. Because you do not question it. You simply follow it. And before you realize it, your focus has shifted away from what matters. That is why you must be intentional in these next moments. You must observe where your attention is going. You must notice when something is pulling you away from the present. You must pause and ask yourself, is this necessary right now? Because not everything that demands your attention deserves it. And in a window this precise, your attention becomes your most valuable asset. This is the test within the test. Not just whether you can recognize what is meant for you, but whether you can maintain the level of awareness required to see it clearly. Because the moment itself will not compete with distraction. It will not demand your focus. It will simply appear, and it will rely on your awareness to meet it. That is why this warning matters. Because you are being given the ability to prepare for something that most people never see coming. You are being shown the pattern before it unfolds. You are being equipped to remain steady while everything else tries to pull you away. And that is what sets you apart. Because once you recognize distraction, you are no longer controlled by it. Once you become aware of where your attention is going, you can redirect it. Once you decide to stay present, nothing can easily pull you away. And that is the state you must hold. Not perfectly, but intentionally. Not rigidly, but consciously. Because even a small return to awareness is enough to reconnect you to what is unfolding. So in these next 3 hours, guard your focus. Be mindful of what you give your attention to. Notice the small shifts that try to pull you away. And gently bring yourself back to the present moment. Because what is meant for you will not force itself into your awareness. It will reveal itself to your awareness. And your ability to remain present will determine how clearly you see it. You are not being asked to do something difficult. You are being asked to remain aware. And that awareness will make all the difference. Type "I guard my focus" in the comments if you are ready to stay present. Blessing code 1010 is now activated over your attention and protection. As you move deeper into this moment, as the 3-hour window continues to unfold, there is something Archangel Michael wants you to understand with absolute clarity. You will not be left in confusion when the moment arrives. You will not be forced to guess whether something is meant for you. There will be signs. Not loud, overwhelming signs that remove all thought, but clear, undeniable confirmations that speak directly to your spirit. And these confirmations will not come from outside validation first. They will begin within you. There will be a shift in your inner state the moment the encounter happens. A sudden clarity where there was uncertainty. a calmness where there may have been tension, a quiet certainty that does not need explanation. It will feel like something has settled into place, as if a piece of a puzzle you did not fully understand has suddenly aligned without effort. This is the first confirmation, an internal knowing. And this knowing is different from overthinking. It is not loud. It does not argue. It does not demand proof. It simply exists, steady and clear, like a voice that does not need to raise itself to be heard. But it will not stop there. External signs will begin to follow. You may notice that the timing of what happens feels too precise to be random. The right words at the right moment. The right opportunity appearing exactly when your awareness is focused. A right connection forming without force. These are not coincidences. These are confirmations that what you are experiencing is aligned with what has already been released. You may also notice a sense of ease surrounding the moment. Not necessarily that everything is effortless, but that there is no resistance in moving forward. When something is truly aligned, it does not require you to fight against it. It does not create confusion or chaos. Even if it is unexpected, even if it is new, there is a natural flow that guides you through it. That flow is another confirmation. Because what is meant for you will not feel forced. It will feel right. And that feeling is something you must trust. This is where many people hesitate. They feel the alignment. They sense the confirmation, but then they begin to question it. They look for reasons to doubt. They search for external validation before allowing themselves to fully accept what they already know internally. But you must not do that, because the confirmations are already complete. They begin within you, and they are supported by what unfolds around you. You do not need to wait for more proof. You do not need to delay your response. You only need to recognize what is already being shown to you. Another sign you may notice is a shift in your perception of time. The moment may feel slower, more focused, as if your awareness has sharpened. Or it may feel like things are happening quickly, yet clearly, without confusion. This shift is a reflection of alignment. When you are fully present, time no longer feels scattered. It becomes precise, intentional, connected to what is happening in front of you. That is another confirmation that you are in the moment. You may also experience a sense of relief, even before you fully understand what has happened. A release of tension, a lightness that replaces the weight you may have been carrying. This is not accidental. It is the result of alignment meeting manifestation. It is the moment where what was held back finally reaches you, and your spirit recognizes that something has shifted. These signs are not separate. They work together. The internal knowing, the external alignment, the natural flow, the clarity in timing, the sense of relief. All of these form the confirmation. And when you experience them, you must accept them. Do not downplay them. Do not dismiss them as coincidence. Do not delay your recognition. Because the moment you fully accept the confirmation, you step deeper into the experience. You move from observation into participation. You shift from noticing to receiving. And that is where the full impact begins. Archangel Michael is not leaving you without guidance in this moment. He is ensuring that when the good news arrives, you will know it. Not because someone tells you, but because you feel it. Not because it is explained to you, but because it is clear to you. Not because it demands your attention, but because your awareness meets it fully. That is the level of certainty you are being brought into. So trust what you feel when the moment arrives. Trust the clarity that appears. Trust the alignment that unfolds. Because those are your signs. Those are your confirmations. and they will guide you directly into what has already been prepared for you. Type "I trust" the signs in the comments if you are ready to recognize your confirmation. Blessing code 1111 is now activated over your clarity and recognition. Now you have reached the final moment of this message, and with it comes the most important instruction of all. Everything you have heard up to this point has been leading here, not just to inform you, not just to prepare you, but to position you for action. Because awareness without response is incomplete. Preparation without movement is unfinished. And Archangel Michael is not leaving you in a place of passivity. He is calling you into a final state of readiness before these 3 hours reach their peak. This is your charge. Not something complicated, not something overwhelming, but something precise, intentional, and powerful. You must remain present. That is your first instruction. Do not drift into distraction. Do not allow your attention to scatter. Stay connected to your environment, to your intuition, to the subtle movements happening around you. Because the moment you lose presence, you create distance from what is unfolding. And in a window this exact, even a small distance can shift your experience. You must trust what you feel. That is your second instruction. When the moment arrives, when the encounter begins, when the signs appear, your first instinct will be correct. Do not override it with doubt. Do not silence it with overthinking. Do not delay it with hesitation. Trust it, because that instinct is not random. It is the result of everything that has been aligned within you. You must respond without delay. That is your third instruction. Response does not always mean dramatic action. It means recognition followed by movement. It means stepping into what is presented instead of stepping back from it. It means allowing yourself to receive without creating unnecessary barriers. Because once the moment appears, it will not wait for extended analysis. It will move forward, and you must move with it. And finally, you must receive fully. That is your final instruction. Do not minimize what arrives. Do not question whether you deserve it. Do not shrink your response to something that carries significance. Because what is coming to you has already been prepared with intention. It has already been released with purpose. And when it reaches you, it deserves to be received completely. This is where everything comes together. The awareness you were given, the preparation you stepped into, the alignment you held, the focus you maintained. All of it leads to this final moment of reception. And you are ready. You are not the same person who would have missed this before. You are not the same person who would have hesitated without clarity. You are not the same person who would have overlooked what was placed in front of you. You have been prepared. You have been positioned. You have been made aware. And now, you will receive. The next 3 hours are not something to fear. They are something to step into. They are something to experience fully, consciously, intentionally. Because what happens in this window is not just about a single moment of good news. It is about the beginning of a shift that will continue beyond this point. A shift in your awareness. A shift in your timing. A shift in the way things begin to unfold in your life. And it begins with this. So stay ready. Stay present. Stay aware. Because what is coming is already on its way. And you will not miss it. Type "I receive IT" now in the comments if you are stepping into this moment. Blessing code 1212 is now activated over your life. As this moment completes and the shift begins, understand this sacred truth. What you have just received is not meant to stop with you. It is meant to flow through you. Every seed you release becomes a light ignited in someone else's darkness. A message that reaches a soul standing on the edge of their own breakthrough. The word declares, give, and it shall be given unto you. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. And right now that promise is alive, speaking directly into your moment. I feel led to say this with clarity. I am not just witnessing this move of God. I am participating in it through my giving. When you sow through Super Thanks or the PayPal link in the description and QR code on your screen, you are opening the heavens over your own life while helping this message reach those who are still waiting for their sign. This is not a donation. This is a prophetic act of obedience that carries multiplication. As you release your seed now, expect divine return, divine expansion, and divine timing to accelerate in your life. Step forward and activate your giving now.